This is breaking news from News 8.
Breaking news in our Sunrise Smart Start. U.S. officials confirming Russia has launched an attack on Ukraine after explosions in several Ukrainian cities overnight. An advisor to Ukraine's president says more than 40 people have been killed in those attacks so far.
We are joined by Washington correspondent Basil John, who is live in D.C. this morning. Basil, good morning. Obviously, this is a fluid situation. What is the White House saying about the attack?
Well, Mark, Allie, good morning. And the latest that we've heard from the White House is that President Biden did speak on the phone last night with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, reaffirming the U.S.'s support of Ukraine. They actually said in the statement, quote, the United States and its allies and partners will respond in a united and decisive way, and the world will hold Russia accountable. So that's the latest that we've heard from the White House.
And Basil, I think a lot of people are asking, can we expect new sanctions from the U.S. and other NATO countries?
Yes, actually, the European Commission held a press conference early this morning, U.S. time, and basically saying that the sanctions will be proposed to the European countries, and they'll see how they're going to go forward from there. The president will be speaking with some of his counterparts in the G7 later this morning, and then he will address the country, talking about what consequences Russia will face. So we can expect those heavy sanctions that the European nations and the U.S. we're talking about fairly soon.
Basil, thank you so much for updating us on this. Other world leaders reacting to this attack as well. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson saying in part, I'm appalled by the horrific events in Ukraine, and I have spoken to President Zelensky to discuss next steps. President Putin has chosen a path of bloodshed and destruction by launching this unprovoked attack on Ukraine. The UK and our allies will respond decisively.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz saying, quote, as well, Russia must immediately stop this military operation. Today, we will closely coordinate with our partners in the G7, NATO, and the EU. This is a horrible day for Ukraine and a dark day for Europe. The European Union says it will also announce a separate set of sanctions.
Here at News 8, we are expecting to hear from local Ukrainian and Russian groups later today. For the latest reactions to this attack on Ukraine, you can head to rochesterfirst.com.
And make sure to stay tuned for CBS Mornings at the top of the hour as well for the very latest. New this morning, locally, a large police presence overnight on Dewey Avenue in Rochester. Officers responded around 1:30 this morning. They have released little information about what brought them there. We'll have updates on this as they come in throughout the morning.
We have learned that the 15-year-old who suffered serious injuries at Bristol Mountain has died. He has been identified as Christian Cuomo of Manlius near Syracuse.
Bristol officials have released a statement in response saying, in part, we were just notified about the outcome of Monday's accident. Our entire team at Bristol Mountain is deeply saddened by this tragic event, and we want to express our sincere condolences to Christian's family and friends, and our heartfelt thanks to our staff and those who responded. According to the Ontario County Sheriff's Office, the teenager went over a ski jump and landed face first, causing significant head injuries. He was taken by Mercy Flight to Strong Memorial. We're told the teenager was wearing a helmet at the time of the incident.
All right, let's turn it over to James Gilbert. Now, James, pretty calm out there this morning, but we're expecting some snow headed our way.
Yeah, an easy drive to start off the day, but that snow starts to ramp up really late this evening and closer to about midnight. So we're heading to work, and you see flakes fly right now. It's a little bit of a lake effect thanks to a north wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Next 24 hours, I've even got some clearing late in the day before the snow moves in. We'll talk about this storm system and a peek at the weekend at the end of the show. Mark, Allie?
James, thank you. Let's check the roads now with our sunrise traffic. So far, so good here on this Thursday morning. Live view of things at 390, as we mentioned earlier. Some volume building in, but no issues to speak of there, nor on 590 or 390 at this hour. So a pretty good commute underway again on this Thursday.
In more news, Rochester police are investigating a triple stabbing near Hudson Avenue and Nash Street.
Officers called there just before 3:30 yesterday afternoon. 2 victims were discovered with stab wounds. A third victim was dropped off at a local hospital. All 3 are being treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
Two men are in the hospital after a shooting in Rochester. Police responding to the area of Weld Street and North Union Street around 1 p.m. yesterday. They found a 29-year-old man with a gunshot wound to the upper body who was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Shortly after, a 32-year-old man arrived at the hospital with a gunshot wound as well. He is expected to survive, and investigators say both men were shot on Union Street in the city.
Rochester police are also investigating after a teenager was found shot at the Boys and Girls Club. Officers responded to Genesee Street around 5:30 in the afternoon for that report of a man who'd been shot. They found an 18-year-old there with a gunshot wound, but say the shooting did not take place at the Boys and Girls Club. The teenager was taken to the hospital, we're told, with non-life-threatening injuries.
Multiple buildings were damaged after a fire in Victor. Firefighters responded to East Main Street around noon on Tuesday to find flames and smoke coming from a building. Officials say they were able to clear the upstairs apartments. Surrounding businesses were damaged by the flames as well. Investigators say it was an electrical shortage that caused the fire, but no injuries have been reported. Turning now to the latest on COVID-19. With COVID cases declining locally, hospitals are anticipating rising demand for elective and semi-elective surgeries.
Many of those, of course, delayed during the pandemic. Erica Cost is in the newsroom this morning with more on this. Erica, good morning.
Good morning. The good news is hospital leaders say they've been able to keep up with surgeries over the past 2 years pretty well. But there's been a lot of uncertainty when it comes to scheduling those elective surgeries, and they're worried that won't go away anytime soon. I spoke to Matthew Miller, Senior Director of Perioperative Services with Your Medicine. He says some of the surgery backlog they faced at the beginning of the pandemic still exists. The big stressor is more workload on top of staffing shortages and keeping up with it all.
The concern is, when is it going to get back to normal? For the surgeons whose careers many of them have been put on hold, or at least partially put on hold for a couple of years, depending on the nature of the practice. For the patients who would like some more concrete answers rather than we think we'll be able to do it in a few weeks, but we don't know, anything can happen.
He says thankfully for the most part there have been few last-minute decisions on surgery postponements, and important to note, people whose lives are dependent on an operation are not having to wait. In the newsroom, Erica Cost, News 8.
Erica, thank you. URMC is still receiving help from Air Force doctors who were sent here by the federal government, and they should be here for a few more weeks as well.
The two prosecutors in charge of the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal investigation into former President Donald Trump and his business dealings have resigned. Carrie Dunn and Mark Pomerantz have been tasked with running the investigation into the Trump Organization. Dunn previously argued before the U.S. Supreme Court in a successful fight for former President Trump's tax records, while Pomerantz had been involved in questioning witnesses before a grand jury.
Lee Zeldin, the presumptive Republican nominee for New York governor, naming New York Police Department Deputy Inspector Allison Esposito as his running mate yesterday. Esposito is the daughter of former NYPD Chief Michael Esposito and has worked with the New York City Police since 1997. Zeldin and Esposito are expected to receive the state Republican Party's nomination at the convention next week. Former Vice President Mike Pence is expected to campaign and fundraise for Zeldin as well.
In New York, announcing more than 17% of jobs in the state in 2019 were related to environmental efforts. The number of green jobs declined more sharply than overall employment in 2020 because of the pandemic. But the report says job opportunities will increase as the state continues to try to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Here's what some folks will be talking about at the water cooler this morning. The Godfather is coming back to movie theaters for a special 50th anniversary release. The classic film follows the Corleone family under the patriarch Vito Corleone as his youngest son Michael transforms from a reluctant family member to ruthless mafia boss. The Godfather won 3 Oscars, including Best Picture. The remastered film will arrive at AMC theaters beginning tomorrow.
My dad made me sit down and watch that when I was young with a girlfriend, and he was like, watch this movie, you're gonna love it. And I was like, ooh, this is a little much for me at this age, but okay, Dad. Good acting, I guess.
It's a classic, no doubt.
Start early, I guess. Well, it might be kind of a movie type of weekend, as we've got some snow on the way, accumulating snow for tomorrow. This snow accumulation, it begins about midnight tonight and then lasts through most of Friday. I'm still going about 6 to 8 inches. You see that pink of 8 plus. If you're in that area, I'm not guaranteeing you see more than 8, but there are going to be a lot of strips of areas that get lingering lake effect through Friday night and into Saturday that pushes you over 8 inches, certainly. 8-day forecast. We've got cold air that lasts through the weekend, Monday, the last day of the month, and then we do a little bit of a warm-up by March. So we're wrapping it up. We're going to kiss the month of February goodbye with a nice snowstorm starting tomorrow.
All right, James, thank you so much, and thank you for watching News 8 at Sunrise.
Our next update is coming up in 30 minutes. CBS Mornings is coming up next. Tune in for the very latest on Russia's attack of Ukraine, including live reporting from Europe. Have a great day.